thank you for taking the time today. If you can just please introduce yourself, the institution you're joining us from, as well as your role at the institution.
Happy to be here. My name is Mary McManus. I'm from the University of Alabama in Huntsville. I work in our Enhanced Teaching and Learning Center, and I'm the administrator for Blue at our campus.
Cool. And if maybe you can give us a little bit of background about yourself, how you came to working in your role today, how you came into working in higher education, as well as a bit of a background about the institution.
So my background is a little bit non-traditional. I studied literature and fine arts, and when I was in my graduate program in fine arts, I got a part-time GTA position in our Teaching and Learning Center and helped manage an LMS transition on our campus. And so I wound up doing a lot of instructional training, and they found that I was pretty good at bridging the gap between technical and non-technical folks. And so I wound up getting hired on after my graduate degree, even though it was an arts background. I was working in sort of a tech field because I needed to repay my student loans. So fast forward 10, 12 years on, I wound up being the administrator for a number of academic technologies on campus and helping support faculty that way.
Amazing.
And then Blue became one of the tools that falls under the umbrella of my responsibilities.
Well, touching on Blue, can you speak to a little bit about how long the university has been working with Explorance, as well as the different tools that you guys use?
So University of Alabama in Huntsville has been using Explorance since about 2015, so quite a while. My history with Blue is a bit shorter. There was it was managed out of a different office on our campus. Previously, it was managed by our Office of Institutional Research and Assessment, and then about 3 years ago, Blue was moved from that office on campus to our office, the Enhanced Teaching and Learning Center, and that's when it became part of my responsibility, my portfolio of tools. So I am quickly getting brought up to speed, but I was not part of the transition team that adopted it originally.
Cool. And can you speak to a little bit about that Blue usage, maybe number of evaluations, or maybe you can just speak to the student population at the university?
Well, we have about 10,000 students, and we have a core questionnaire that goes out to every course on campus. So Blue is used campus-wide. It's an enterprise tool for us. And we have about 2,500 courses every fall, a few less, maybe about 2,200 in the spring, and about 500 courses over the summer. So they're all using Blue.
And it's a full rollout kind of thing. Cool.
Absolutely.
And can you speak just to a little bit to before Blue? I don't know how much you know about the process in terms of the course evaluations at the university pre-Blue.
I don't know a lot about it pre-Blue. I know that it was a little bit more of a mixed model.
Okay.
I suspect that some of our campus units were using some digital tools, and then there was like a mix of Scantron as well.
Okay. And from my understanding, I actually heard that you're just implemented or starting to implement Dig as well. Can you speak to a little bit about the need for Dig and what were kind of the drivers to make you get that add-on module?
Yeah, so we just acquired Dig in the past year and have been rolling that out. The main decision-making factor for us is that we have some data correction that we need to take care of. There's a lot of information in our SIS that can't be changed directly because of accreditation needs. So for example, we have instructors of record that are full-time faculty that are designated as teachers in courses and labs, but in reality we have TAs that might be teaching those lab sections. We might also have courses that have a primary instructor, but they have multiple secondary instructors, and Dig gives us the flexibility to manage that a little bit more easily. It was much more manual prior to the Dig acquisition, for sure.
I can imagine. So just streamlining and delegating those kind of processes to the folks who actually know the different data corrections that need to be made.
Speaking to somebody earlier today about how to leverage some of Dig's features a little bit more deeply, because I'm just getting on board, and I think that we could even do a lot more with it than we're doing today.
For sure. And even in your short time or shorter time using Blue, can you speak to some of the maybe success stories that you've had, or whether there's some measurable metrics that you've been able to see improvement in?
I have high hopes for the future. One of the contingencies that we placed on the office that asked us to take Blue over was that could we change our questionnaire?
Okay.
Could we make some changes? And I think that change at universities is often slow and goes through many committees. So we just got approval from faculty senate, student senate, administration. We've run many tests on many questions, and they're all getting rolled out this fall. Okay. So we've kind of kept things as status quo. Our previous admin was wonderful and had a lot of stuff set up already for us, and we've just been copying and maintaining for the past year or two. As these questions are now approved, we're kind of about to roll some stuff out this fall, and I'm excited to see what's coming in the next year. If we see any increase in student engagement, we're hoping that our faculty are happier with the results because the questions are more aligned with like action items they can take based on the feedback that they're going to be receiving.
So that's exciting. A new survey instrument rolling out in the fall.
Yeah. Also nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I can imagine. So actually, can you expand a little bit more on that process then? So you mentioned kind of getting that buy-in from faculty senate, student senate. What were kind of the different things you were looking to change from the original questionnaire?
Well, our questionnaire was about 10 years old. I mean, it hadn't been changed in a long time. We were lucky in that we have a set of 10 core questions that get asked to everyone. There are other questions that different departments and colleges can add on. We weren't going to touch those because a lot of times those are tied to accreditation needs for those various campus departments and colleges. But for the core questions, we wanted to update them. They just didn't seem relevant anymore. Okay. And so we had students saying, this seems silly, this isn't even relevant. Same thing on the faculty side. And so we wound up having a lot of working groups, and we showed them the existing questions, and we're like, where are these falling short? How would you reword these? A lot of them were just cumbersome in terms of like how they were written. And so we wound up landing on a lot more student-centered language. We actually wound up using a lot more feeling words. So like I felt like I was heard. I felt I had the opportunity to communicate with the instructor because that felt like a more human way to engage with a survey.
More like a natural expression.
Exactly. Funnily enough, students loved those changes. Faculty were not so into those changes, but we went back and forth a couple iterations so that we were able to arrive at a place that everybody seemed pretty pleased with and agreed that it was an improvement upon what came before it. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And kind of looking into the future, I know obviously the questionnaire coming in the fall, but is there anything from an Explorance point of view or a Blue point of view, or just kind of the feedback culture at Huntsville? What's kind of the wish list and what's next, do you think, in the short-term future?
So short-term, I'm going to see how this rolls out.
Yeah.
In terms of long-term goals, I am very interested in the possibilities of something like Millie. We're not currently using it on our campus because we'd really like for it to be able to be tied into Blue and the survey reports more deeply. But independent of Millie, we've played with putting our comments into, various AI models that can sort of spit out summary reports for faculty that feel a little bit more like, okay, how do I summarize this and take meaningful action based on maybe comments that are sometimes even conflicting? This was great. This was terrible. What do I do?
Exactly. What's next? The action planning portion of it. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just have one last question. It's what are you kind of looking, or what have you maybe even gotten, since we're on the last day of Explorance World, what have you gotten out of this year's conference, or maybe what are you looking to get in this afternoon?
So I think one of the things that I get out of the conference as much as anything else is the human connection. There are a lot of folks that are really knowledgeable, and I am forever going to a session and saying, like, oh, I can do that? I need that person's email, or I need to follow up with that Explorance person. I had no idea. So I think that, as wonderful as virtual connection can be, I don't know that, and I think maybe this was mentioned in a session or keynote earlier, you don't have those moments where you get to just stumble on a conversation with somebody.
Right.
It's not casual. Everything online has to be sort of scheduled and intentional. And in venues like this, you get to have those kind of accidental happenings where some exciting collaborations can happen.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for taking the time, Mary. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for sharing your experiences with Explorance.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.